11. I beg your pardon.
10.
Question number 10, Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister responsible for the GCSB and asks, does the Government Communications Security Bureau satellite facility at Waihopai provide intelligence for use by the United States Government?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I reply, in accordance with the long-standing practice of successive Prime Ministers, the Prime Minister is not prepared to discuss operational matters relating to the GCSB.
Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it his opinion that the acquittal of 3 peace workers yesterday at the Waihopai trial, does that represent disquiet over anything that aids the US war effort in Iraq? If not, why not?
If the Minister feels comfortable answering that question, it's a pretty marginal question, but the Honourable Bill English.
Well, just simply to repeat the previous answer, that on behalf of the Prime Minister, he's not prepared to discuss any matters relating to GCSB.
Keith Locke.
Does he take out of yesterday's not guilty verdict an implication that it was the spy base, not the defendants, undertaking illegal activity, in this case by aiding the illegal American war in Iraq? If not, why not?
What I ask the Honourable Member is how that can possibly be a matter for ministerial responsibility. That the Minister responsible for the GCSB has no responsibility for decisions of courts, and there's no ministerial responsibility for the decision of a court whatsoever. I'll allow the Member to rephrase his question to bring it within the Minister's responsibility.
Is it the Minister's opinion that the... I'm trying to read a question here. Is it the Minister's opinion that there was an implication in the verdict at the trial yesterday relating to the Waihopai station that it was perhaps involved in illegal activity in aiding the illegal war in Iraq?
I fail to see how the Minister has any responsibility for that question. I mean, and really I can't allow it because it is not a valid question in the area of the Minister responsible for the GCSB. He shouldn't be answering questions with respect to opinions about the outcome of court matters. Nothing to do with his responsibilities. If the member has a further supplementary...
I have a supplementary, and I'll just explain first in relation to your point.
Is this a point of order then?
A point of order.
Point of order, Keith Locke.
That at the trial, evidence was raised in relation to the Government Communications Security Bureau's operations at Waihopai that is relevant to the Minister's responsibility for that agency.
Order. To save wasting further time in the House, I hear what the member's saying. If there's been evidence presented about the base that the Minister is responsible for, that's another matter. But the member must remember, and I am on my feet, that he's not responsible for the outcome of any court case. That's not that Minister's responsibility. Keith Locke.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is his response to evidence presented at the trial showing that the Waihopai spy base intercepted communications to aid the war in Iraq, even as New Zealand was opposing that same war?
The Honourable Bill English.
Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, and in accordance with a long-standing practice, I'm not prepared to discuss operational matters relating to the GCSB.
Keith Locke.
Supplementary. Will he give an assurance that the GCSB collected no intelligence in response to an American request in early 2003 for information about the UN Security Council members leading up to the UN Security Council vote on the Iraq war?
The Honourable Bill English.
Speaker, I'd simply repeat the answer to the earlier question.
Keith Locke.
What was the government government's total expenditure on the Waihopai spy base in the last financial year?
Order. The dilemma we have here now is that's straying a long way from the primary question, and to expect this minister to have that information at his fingertips based on that primary question. If the minister had the information, I don't want to deprive the House, but I invite the Honourable Bill English, if he has the information he wishes to impart, but he's indicating he doesn't have that information.
Point of order,
Keith
Speaker. Would the minister assure the House that he will provide that information to the House?
Order, that's not a point. I'm trying to help the honourable member, but that's not a point of order. No, he has one further supplementary question should he wish to use, and he can ask a supplementary question if he wishes.
Point of order, I've heard in this House before, if a minister doesn't happen to have the information with him, that he can give an assurance to the House that he will provide it at a later point.
I'm sorry, it's not a point of order. The member still has a supplementary question. He can ask that if he wishes to. Supplementary question, Keith Locke.
Thank you. Will the minister provide to the House at a later date the total expenditure of the government on the Waihopai spy base in the last financial year?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as I've reiterated a number of times on behalf of the Prime Minister, he is not prepared to discuss operational matters relating to GCSB.
Question. Point of order, Keith Locke.
I seek leave to table a memorandum by a United States National Security Agency officer, Frank Koza, calling for a surge of interceptions against UN Security Council members opposed to the war. It's dated January the 31st, 2003.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. There is objection. Question number 11, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of State Services. Did any of the 1,000